culture is crucial to business success. If you still need further convincing on that, go and take a look at my video on Does Culture Really Matter elsewhere on this channel. But as the CEO, the impact that you have on the culture far outweighs that of the rest of your team members. You carry a critical responsibility to be the cultural champion of the organization, the ultimate representative of what's acceptable and what's not. That might seem like a heavy burden, but it comes with the job. What you say is much less important than what you do and how you behave, and you're in the spotlight. Even when you think no one's paying attention, they might just be watching, and they'll follow your example. So whatever your ambitions are for your company's culture, you must be the change that you want to see. It's not just the people who already work for you either. Those who are considering joining the team will make a judgment over how well your conduct reflects what they've been told about the culture when they meet you. And if they find that there's not congruence and consistency there, you're very likely to put off great talent. And in today's world where personal brand is of great importance, your public persona is the persona of your business in many people's eyes. So if you want the company to be seen as competent and reliable, well, then you need to exude competence and reliability. If you'd like to position your brand as fresh and challenging, that's where you need to go too. Which is all fine, but how do you actually go about it? Well, as mentioned already, it all starts with role modeling. Making decisions with the long term in mind, treating people fairly and with compassion, and aligning your day-to-day behavior with the company's values is essential. You also need to consistently communicate those values, the mission and purpose of the company, and the long-term vision you've set out. Those things are the foundation of your culture, and if left to wither, they'll take your environment with them. But please remember that only 7% of communication is verbal. 38% comes from the qualities of your voice, and 55% from body language. So it's not just what you say, but how you say it, no matter how many times you've heard the words come out of your mouth. You must communicate with passion on every single occasion. Culture is not just one way, of course. A key part of your role as CEO is creating an environment where feedback is given and received in the right spirit. So invite your team to give you feedback, both directly and anonymously through tools like surveys, because no matter how open you actually are to criticism, you're still the chief exec, and therefore the likelihood of getting the truth to your face in person can be slim. But share stories about when you've made mistakes, especially if they're similar to a challenge someone on your team's facing. Build personal relationships with your staff so that they feel more comfortable when raising issues. It's the only way you'll find out what's really happening in the business. And if you listen, reflect, and act, or at least explain why you didn't act, people will feel valued and heard, which is critical to them contributing ideas and opinions in the future. Your commitment to the training and growth of your team is also a critical driver of culture. When quizzing those who'd recently left their employers, LinkedIn found that 94% of people would have stayed longer if their company had invested in their development. That's a huge number, and it shows that not only is supporting development essential, but also that most employers don't do it, so the bar is low. By making a difference and supporting development, you can give yourself a significant competitive advantage. But developing people takes time, yours and theirs. You must be willing to allow them to invest their time in order to get a return in the form of greater productivity further down the line. And as with everything else, it's key to role model this behavior, showing that you're prioritizing your own learning as well. So I typically take several days out of the business 3 or 4 times a year to attend courses, educational events, and workshops without being secretive or covert about where I'm going. You can do the same, or you can tell the team what you're working on. You can openly read in the middle of the office, or otherwise make visible your commitment to personal and professional growth. By doing that, you're giving them implicit permission to behave in the same way. Recognition and reward, not just of results, but of behaviors, are powerful drivers of culture too, and so is being clear about what you refuse to tolerate. This doesn't mean calling people out publicly, but private chats have a way of finding their way into the open, usually through the person they're directed to. A quiet word about behaviours you see that don't align with the values will influence not just the recipient of the feedback, but everyone else too. And you do have to be prepared to go further when needed as well. If you allow poor behaviour or underperformance to continue for too long, it will undermine everything you've built. And if your team lose faith in the culture they once bought into, you'll need a Herculean effort to turn things back around. Be compassionate, absolutely. Work with the person to address and correct the offending actions. But if things don't change, exit them professionally and communicate honestly to the rest of the business. Speaking of honesty, it's a challenging line to walk as CEO. Communicating absolutely everything transparently is often counterproductive. Not everyone needs to know, and they don't have the context you do, so you can cause worry and unrest unnecessarily. But transparency around challenges in the business, around areas of concern, or maybe even issues you're facing can have a galvanizing effect if it's managed well, and create a united front against the outside world. You might just get some good ideas about how to fix things too. Above all else though, focus on role modeling the behaviour you want to see. The rest should definitely follow, but that alone will drive your culture more than any other action you can take.